Hello everybody, I'm your host, Dr. Darkspawn, naturally, and today's video is gonna be an absolute doozy. We're gonna be discussing traps and the difficulty rating or the danger value that each trap adds. We're gonna do some math and we're gonna look at what the base danger value for each trap is. And you know, I've run a series of tests and I've got a bunch of values here, so there's going to be quite a bit of stats in this one. But yeah, let's start off with first how I did this test and how the value of each block was calculated then, shall we? Alright, so starting off, I tried to minimize the vision that each trap had on Harvey's pathway, so it's like only one block, and that none of the line of sight of the trap kind of intersected with lines of sight from other traps, because that could, you know, add to the difficulty rating. So for incinerators, bolt shots, bomb ejectors, iron claws, this kind of setup was used where there was only like one space because they all only, you know, activate directly in front of them. Plasma sentinels, you'll see in a bit why that one actually doesn't really matter, but yeah, just know for now that they're not really important to look at. For death pistons and impalers, which require one block activation, I changed all of these blocks to be represented like this, so that they intersect Harvey's pathway by one block, and I had made the path for this more compact so that it 100% went over the area that the trap was going on. If the trap activates over Harvey's path, it should add the same amount of difficulty rating regardless of, you know, how much of it intersects with the guard's activation, or sorry, the trap's activation range. Right. So yeah, that's what I did with those. I did the same thing with plasma sentinels, but again, it doesn't really matter. And I did the same with impalers. Most of the traps were all from the side or from the front of the blocks facing towards Harvey. You know, as Harvey's walking along, as Harvey's walking along this pathway, the traps from the front, so that there's no modifier of the traps actually, you know, like hitting from behind. Like this, so this is a trap from behind. It could have a small difficulty rating increase because it's hitting you from behind. I know guards have something like this, but we'll have a look at that and discuss it actually in the video specifically about danger rating for guards. For corrosive traps, because corrosive traps don't really have a line of sight, I used a snaking S pattern where I kind of had something set up like, come on, where I kind of had something set up like this, where Harvey would enter on the bottom side. He would walk through the area with a bunch of corrosives near it, go through the area with corrosives, go through the area with corrosives, and, you know, and it would continue snaking on for this whole block here up top, with 249 corrosives, testing for the upper limit of dangerous and the lower limit of brutal. So there were a ton of corrosives here, and it was pain putting those down. I will do a better test for the hollow cubes, because the hollow cubes I also did the same as with the corrosives. I did not have blocks in between, and I forgot that hollow cubes actually have a line of sight now. As you can see, if you press Y on the rangefinder here on the keyboard, that it shows there's a line of sight for it. So I'm gonna just test it again, and I'll cut to that, and specifically hollow cubes and corrosive cubes and the values of them. So yeah, future me, take it from here. Thanks, past me. I'll take it from here. Alright, so this is how I did the testing for the hollow cubes. I put one block in between so that there's no intersecting lines of sight, and then I put a row of solids in between sets of hollow cube blocks so that there's no also the Harvey paths to them, obviously, and so that there's nothing, you know, like they're directly in view of one another, in case that has some kind of effect. But yeah, it didn't actually change the amount that you can place down for the difficulty rating anyway. Right, starting out using a baseline. Let's get a baseline sorted. So I used corrosive blocks, since corrosive blocks, from the data that I gathered, a bunch of testing, corrosive blocks have the lowest danger value of all the blocks in the game. They have no line of sight, they're just a block. So the fact that they have no line of sight means that there's no intersecting point where the line of sight intersects with Harvey's path. That adds extra difficulty rating. And they're not really too deadly on their own. I mean, yeah, hollow cubes aren't either, but I don't know why the corrosive cubes actually have a lower value. Maybe it's just because they don't have any line of sight. But they're going to be our baseline. I was able to, in the snaking S pattern, fit 124 corrosive cubes while keeping the base normal. So at 125 corrosive cubes, it went to being dangerous. So with this information, we can say that a normal base has roughly 124 points of danger value that you can use in any point. Oh, don't ask me how long it took, okay? But for dangerous to corrosive, I actually have one to put down for the topmost value of dangerous, and here it is. It's 250 to put it into brutal. So if I were to remove one of these, take us down to 249, the difficulty rating changes to dangerous. That means that the lower value for dangerous is at 125 difficulty rating, assuming still that corrosives are equal to 1, and the upper limit is 249, which is 1 less than being exactly double. And you'll see that trend for the other traps that I'm going to show you now as well. Now, I haven't put down any mods for this. This is just going to be looking at the base values for traps, and you know, if the traps are tight, like very close to one another tight, or if they spaced one block away, what's the difference in rating? Is there even a difference? Is the difference so small? Doesn't even matter. But yeah, that's all I'm going to be looking at. The base value that a trap adds for danger rating. For the hollow cubes, I was able to fit 19 of them. So if we take the base value of 124 danger value from corrosives and the testing we did, we divide that by 19 and we get 6.9, which means that a hollow cube roughly has a danger rating of 7 if its line of sight intersects with Harvey's path, or if it's next to Harvey's path, shall I say. All of this testing has been done so that there is one block of Harvey's path in view at all times. At least one block. In the case of hollow cube corner blocks, I could have made it go further, but didn't really mind because yeah, I ran out of space here on the side of the outpost, so I didn't do that. But let's assume that it only counts for one block that intersects on Harvey's path. If it does have multiple intersections on Harvey's path, it's probably only going to add like 1 or 2 points in comparison to the 7 points per single hollow cube. So it's not going to allow you to place another hollow cube just because 2 blocks that intersected more than 1 point in Harvey's path now only intersect 1. But right, for bolt shots, the danger value that I got was 7.3. I was able to fit 17 of them that only had vision on 1 block, as using the method that I studied before, where I had the slanted walls making a very tight corridor with very low visibility and no intersecting lines of path for those kinds of traps. So for incinerators, you can only fit 14 on a normal map before it goes on to dangerous at number 15. And the exact same way as the broadshot and iron claw testing, with 1 spacing in between. For bomb ejectors and incinerators, both of those I could only fit 14 of, and ended up having a danger value of roughly about 9, 8.9 to be precise. Right, next up is impalers, and for impalers you can fit about 40 before the next impaler put down turns it into dangerous. Impalers I was able to fit 40 of. Not surprising, they have one of the lowest capacity costs in the game, and they're not very deadly. They have a danger value of roughly 3.1. For death pistons, where they only have one block onto Harvey's path, obviously they don't have a lot of reach and no intersecting paths, of course, because pistons cannot hit where other pistons are hitting. You can fit 20, which is equal to 1000 capacity. Pistons, strangely enough, have exactly double the amount of danger rating from impalers at 6.2, and I was only able to fit 20 of them into the outpost before it became dangerous. Iron claws have a danger rating of about 5.16, and I was able to fit about 24. So actually, iron claws have a higher average danger value than pistons. So yeah, I took all this information and using that as a lower value for going into a dangerous level base, I then did extra testing to see what would happen if I pushed it up until just before it reached brutal. Now for brutal, again, I was doing the corrosive test. I was able to fit 249 corrosives on it, and it would remain dangerous. If I went to 250, it would be brutal. So you're seeing a bit of a correlation here. 124 to keep it normal, 249 to keep it dangerous. So it's double. 124 times 2 is 148, which is one less than the limit, the upper limit for dangerous. So the danger value is very close, just using these base values for traps as a reference that I'm just doing some basic math with. So for hollow cubes, I was able to fit 39 in comparison to the 19 that I was able to add. So I was able to add one more hollow cube for that extra double in danger value. So it was 124, it went to 249. So you would expect the 19 to double to 38 hollow cubes that I was able to fit, but no, I was able to fit 39 hollow cubes. The reason for this is because of the danger value that each base has isn't an exact divide by the danger rating of the traps. So if I have a trap that's a danger rating of about 5, but the maximum danger rating for normal is 124, I'm going to be 1 point of danger value away from adding another trap, and that's why we're getting decimals on these values. So that's why I was able to add another hollow cube, because it was just barely able to fit another one in. So the danger rating's been reduced there from 6.9 to 6.3 for hollow cubes. For bolt shots, I was able to fit 35, where I was able to fit 17 on normal. Again, that's the same case as with the hollow cubes, and the danger rating went from 7.3 to 7.1. Bomb ejectors and incinerators, I was able to fit 27 of each in comparison to the 14 that I was able to fit on a normal rating base. So again, it's one less than double because it's just short of, you know, being able to put another one in. So the danger value is a little bit higher. It was 8.9 for bomb ejectors and incinerators. It's now 9.2. For impalers, it's roughly the same, 3.1. Pistons, roughly the same, 6.2. And iron claws. Now, iron claws are very weird when it came to doing this test. I did a test where I put a lot of them right next to each other. Let me show that actually. So I had a bunch of them like lined up like this. How many could I fit, you know? And I was able to fit 49. And then I spaced them out one by one. I made a very elaborate path to try and get enough space to do this. But after spacing them, I was able to fit 60 iron claws next to one another, which is crazy. So not only did spacing them out change the danger rating of these by a lot, it made me fit an extra 11 traps, so I'm thinking there's maybe a bit of a problem somewhere in the game, because the danger value for a claw trap is very, very inconsistent. Even if you put them on exactly the same spots, you know, it's only one block of vision towards Harvey's path, no intersecting lines of sight with other traps, etc, etc. The value constantly keeps changing. So I would say for a claw trap, use a danger value of 5. So the danger value I had from the 49 I was able to place next to each other was 5.1, and on the normal spacing them was 5.1 as well. So I have no idea why I was able to fit 60 all of a sudden without, you know, triggering it going to brutal. There are a few bugs, as you'll see in the bit that I put in about the Plasma Sentinel. Plasma Sentinels don't even affect the danger rating. You can just place as many of them in as you want and the base will stay normal. So it's a bug currently. As you can see here, I have placed a ton of Plasma Sentinels and a lot of them have overlapping lines of sight. They see multiple points of Harvey's path. I have put 45 of these down and it is still normal, which shouldn't be happening. If we go just by capacity, it should have a value similar to bolt shots and pistons, obviously higher than pistons, and bolt shots will be higher than pistons as well. Pistons will probably be the lowest value. I couldn't get it to go into dangerous no matter what I did. Yeah, unfortunate, but it's in a bad spot at the moment. Sentinel's bugged, at least in terms of the value for difficulty rating. Yeah, impalers and pistons are very constant, so I'll do a bit of a summary section at the end of this where I just show all the values that you can kind of like use. But if you want to use rough values for things, a hollow cube is roughly 6.5 danger rating per hollow cube with 1 block of vision on Harvey's path. So this is just the base value of a trap with 1 block of vision on Harvey's path. Bolt shots, you can use a value of 7 for the danger value. Bomb ejectors, you can use a value of 9. Incinerators, a value of 9. Impalers, a value of 3. Pistons, a value of 6. And iron claws, a value of 5. And then the danger rating, the top end of normal just before you go into dangerous for your outpost, will be equal to about 124, and for dangerous going into brutal will be 249. Again, these are estimations and values based on math, just by how many I could place down, and as I've said before, it's not an exact number, but I do believe corrosive cubes are equal to a value of 1. This has been the case in a few other people testing this, although I'm not sure how deep they actually went into the statistics of this. Yeah, alright, I hope this video was informative to try and give you the base value of a specific type of trap in comparison, like how much you can use without any mods. I'll do a separate video about mods and about guards later on, as mentioned before. If you like the content, you like to see anything similar, please comment below what kind of content you would like to see from Meet Maker, and I'll be giving it a go. And yeah, I've been your host, and you've been fantastic. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!